What is he wearing? Oh my. Oh. Hey, how you doing? My name is Darth. I am the co-founder and one of the developers for Lone Star State RP. The purpose of this video is to go over a few things that will make your first couple of days in the city much easier. We're going to go over creating a character, which is actually a little more complicated than it may sound. We're going to go over setting up your in-game voice chat, as well as a few other miscellaneous rules and things that will just make it a lot easier for you. So without further ado, let's jump into character creation. Alright, so after you set your character information, it's going to spawn you in city, and you're going to look pretty much exactly like this, and this little menu is going to pop up here on the side. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure we're on Player Model 1. Player Model 1 is a customizable character. There are other models, however, these are just NPC skins. They're not really customizable, a few things here and there, but for the most part, these are exactly as is. So we don't want to select one of those. So we're going to go back to Player Model 1, and if we wanted to, we can click on this little face or head icon up here. This will actually zoom in on our face. Likewise, we can click the shirt icon to zoom in on the shirt, the socks to zoom in on the legs, or the full body to view your full body again. So let's quick zoom in on the face. So where it shows mother and father, this allows us to select our parents, which will also alter our appearance. Now, you can kind of play with this a little bit and get a face that you really want to use. As you can see, as you change the mother and father, it does change the face. You have this little slider here that will put it more towards your father's face or more towards your mother's face. On top of that, you can also change the textures. The texture will change your skin color, as you can see. So let's just go back to the default one because, why not? Alright, now we're going to click on the shirt icon, and we want to get rid of this belt here. So in order to do that, we go here to Undershirts and Belts. Now this is where it is a lot different from Grand Theft Auto Online, because as we cycle through these, you'll see there's shirts clipping through other shirts, hoodies with no arms. It's very different, and it looks bad when you're first coming into the city. This is normal for FiveM, and I'm going to explain how we can update this. So we're going to go to Undershirt and Belt number 15. What that does is it gives us no undershirt or belt. Now we're going to cycle through the jackets and tops until we find a jacket and or top that we want. So we can start here. Oh no, I don't have any arms. What do I do? Simple. You go up here to arms, and you keep scrolling through the arms until you find something that is fully compatible with the jacket / top that you selected. So let's say we want to go with this hoodie instead. Now you've got your arms coming through, you've got your back coming through, your chest is coming through. Again, we'll just go back up to arms here, and we'll cycle through until we get to some arms where it appears that nothing is clipping through. So in this case, we're going to go arms number 1. What I like to do is I'll kind of go through all of the jackets and tops until I find something that I really like, and then I'll change the arms accordingly. Just like the player's skin color, a lot of the clothing items do have textures. The texture is going to change the color and or logo on the jacket or shirt that you selected. So let's just, for argument's sake, pick, I like that one, camouflage, nobody will be able to see us, I like it. Vests, pretty self-explanatory. This is going to be vests, such as law enforcement vests. These are not allowed to be worn unless you are a law enforcement officer in the city. If you are wearing it, you can end up getting pulled over and charged with impersonating a police officer. That being said, there are also vests in here, such as this one, that you can wear without being a law enforcement officer. Keep in mind, these are just visual. This does not give you body armor. Body armor is a separate item in the city, so this is strictly visual. Now there are other things in the vest category, like I think there's some bags in here. There's apparently one hat. Yeah, and again, this doesn't give you extra carrying capacity. It's strictly visual. But let's just pick that. I like that bag. Decals. This is going to be mainly for law enforcement officers, and it's to put your rank on your sleeves. So there's nothing you really have to do here in decals. Neck accessories is going to be a combination of gun holsters and necklaces and things like that. So if you want to have a holster, which in our city you are allowed to open carry, you can select a holster. Just make sure you choose one that has a firearm in it. Now, you do still have to purchase a firearm, but this allows our script to work where once you own a handgun, when you pull it out, he'll actually draw this out of the holster. It looks significantly better than just pulling it out of his waist. But, of course, you don't have to wear a holster. In this case, let's just put a holster on the guy, just because. Bags is going to be different variations of bags, backpacks. There's going to be some other random things in here like vests, badges. Again, this parachute is not functional. So if you wear this and try to jump out of a plane and deploy it, you're going to die. So don't do that. And there will be backpacks in here too, just like the bag I was talking about up front. This does not add any carrying capacity to your body. It is simply just aesthetic. Let's go, you know what? Let's go double backpack. That's pretty stupid, so we're going to pick that. Alright, let's click on the sock icon to view the legs. This is self-explanatory. Just pick a pair of pants that you like. Now, I like my jeans to be a little bit thinner. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. And you can change the textures on these two to suit your personal preferences. Shoes. Also self-explanatory. We have a lot of different custom shoes in here, a lot of different custom clothing. So you have a lot of different things that you can choose from. A lot of these do have additional textures as well, so make sure you're checking out the textures before you start yelling at us that we don't have enough clothing. We have plenty of it. Just look through the textures. Alright, we'll zoom back up to the head, and we're going to click over here to Features. Features is where you can set your eye color and other visual things to your face. So you can change your nose width, you can change the peak of it. By the way, if you use A and D, that will cycle around your player. That is specifically for mouse and keyboard. For controller, you are not able to do it. You'd have to use your mouse and keyboard to cycle around the player. But, you can kind of play with all this stuff and tweak your face to get him to look how you want him to look. But we're just going to scroll down here to hair. Now hair, we have a ton of different hair options. The thing with these hair options is you'll notice a lot of them, such as this one. He's kind of just bald on the sides. So there are two different ways around this. One, you can select certain facial hairs that have fades associated with them. Number two, after you create your character with this hairstyle, you can go to the tattoo shop and get a fade added to your head, which I can demonstrate that shortly. So for now, we're just going to stick with this hair texture. Let's see. Oh, I'm trying to change the eyebrows right there. Let's see. Make it a little bit lighter. Okay, that was way too light. Alright, right there. Now eyebrows. Your character does not have eyebrows by default. If you want him to have eyebrows, make sure you put some eyebrows on. Otherwise, if I'm being realistic, we'll probably make fun of it. So, like I was saying earlier, one of the ways that you can get a fade is there are certain beards, such as this one, that do have fades. But as you can see with certain hair color or certain hairstyles, it doesn't quite get you to where it needs to be. So, if you want to have a fade, just select whatever facial hair you want, and then you can head over to the tattoo shop, go to the head option, and get a different fade added to your head. So for now, we're just going to go with this. I don't think I want any lipstick, blush, or makeup. However, if you do, feel free. Now we're going to click over to accessories. This is going to be masks, hats, glasses, ear accessories, watches, and bracelets. If you want a mask, I do suggest to put it on right away because it can be removed at any time in city. And I'll show you how to do that in a second here. Hats, same thing. If you want to wear a hat, I suggest to put it on right away because it can be removed at any time. Now, a lot of the hats do really depend on your hair. As you can see, a lot of these, the hair is clipping through the hat. There are some hats that this does not happen. However, the person who designed this clothing pack that most of the servers buy their clothing from didn't configure the hats right. So a lot of them, your hair will clip through. So if hats are important to you, I do recommend to choose short hair. That way you don't have this issue with your hair clipping through the hat. So for now, we are not going to select a hat. Glasses. Gotta have glasses. You know, I think we've got a few different pairs of Oakleys in here. Boom. There we go. Oakley Holbrook XLs. That's what I'm talking about. Ear accessories. Not that you can really see them on me, but that's going to be different earrings, AirPods, things like that. Watches. You know, I'm wearing a long sleeve, so, you know, it'll kind of clip through, but there's a lot of different variations of watches as well as textures for those watches. So make sure you play with that. Bracelets, same thing. You're not really going to be able to see them because I'm wearing long sleeves, but you have the option for bracelets. Once you are done creating your character, simply just hit confirm. You now have a fully geared out player of your own running around the city to hopefully obey all laws and just be an outstanding citizen. Unless you're not. Bum, bum, bum. Alright, so that being said, we are going to be moving on to voice chat. So, we're going to hit escape. That's going to bring up your settings. Go to voice chat. Now, you want to make sure voice chat is enabled on this top option here. Output device, this is going to be your headset and or speakers. Whichever one you're using, make sure you have your headset or speakers set to your output device. Voice chat volume, turn it all the way up. There are some quiet people in the city. You want to be able to hear everybody. I've never had an issue with somebody being too loud when my voice chat volume is all the way up. Now we'll go down to microphone enabled. That needs to be on. Input device. This is going to be your microphone, whether it's attached to your headset or if it's a standalone microphone. Make sure you have the name of the device selected. Voice chat mode, push to talk. You always want to do push to talk because if you were to do voice activated, for example, it will pick up all of the background noise around you. So if someone's talking behind you, if your dog's barking, the baby's crying, you know, your mom's yelling at you, all that stuff will get picked up by voice activated. So instead we're going to do push to talk. Now to find out what your push to talk key is, simply just go to key bindings, GTA Online, and push to talk. I believe it defaults to N is in November. However, I rekeyed mine to one of my mouse buttons. That way it's easier to push to talk while I'm driving, for example. So that's a way that you can set that. And you can have two different keybinds for the same thing. So if you have a controller and you want to set one of the keybinds to your controller button, feel free to do that. Now on the topic of communication, we're going to talk about SkyChat. If you ever hear someone refer to SkyChat, what they're talking about is if you hit the letter T on your keyboard, you'll see this menu pull up. You are able to type in this menu. This is for staff only. So, if you have a question for a staff member, you have something that's urgent, you know, you saw a cheater, someone's breaking the rules, you're having some weird bug, let us know in this SkyChat. So you just type out your message, hit enter, and then now I have mine automatically disappear when it's not being used, but that message will pop up to everybody in the city. So only use this if you need help from a staff member. Do not use this to communicate with people in the city. Now, there are some things you can use SkyChat for. For example, let's say I want to take my mask off. Do /mask. Boom, mask is off. There is a second way to toggle your mask, however. If you hold Y, it will pull up this menu here, and you can just click on mask. You can take it on, take it off. You can also take your bags off with this. Pretty much everything that you've put on your character can be toggled by holding Y and using this menu here. So you don't really need to use SkyChat to do this with, for example, /mask, but that is an option for you. Now let's say you wanted to communicate with multiple people in the city simultaneously. You would not use SkyChat for that. Instead, you would hit M on your keyboard, M as in Mary, to pull out your cell phone. Once you have your cell phone pulled out, simply click the fingerprint icon to open the phone. Head over here to Squawk, which as you can see is Twitter. Hit the settings, create your new account, and then you'll start to see other people's tweets loading. So if you need to communicate with multiple people in this server, let's say you're looking for a mechanic, you can just type that in here. And then hit Tweeter. That will send the tweet out to the entire city, everyone that has a cell phone, which is everybody. You spawn with one automatically. So if you want to communicate with multiple people at the same time, please use Twitter. We don't want people communicating in SkyChat, because if there are people that are having issues that require a staff member's attention, sometimes that will get flooded out by the amount of messages that are being put into the SkyChat. So please don't use it. Use Twitter if you're able to. Alright, we will move on to our next part of the video, which some of you might think is the most fun part and the reason that you actually came over to FiveM: car shopping. Alright, so in City we are going to have two different types of car dealerships. If you hit Escape, pull up your map, the first one is going to be here. Most FiveM servers, this is where the dealership is located. In Lone Star State RP, the only thing sold at this dealership is base Grand Theft Auto vehicles. So, if you do want to use a Grand Theft Auto Online vehicle, Grand Theft Auto 5 vehicle, those will be available at this shop. But if you want the good stuff, which we know you do, you're going to come here to postal code 580. This is for Darce Auto House. As you can see, I'm already here. But we'll walk on inside. Now if you look in the top right corner of the screen, you'll see that I have $100,400 in my bank account, $100,000 cash. You start off in the city with $200,000. That is a lot of potential to buy some of these beautiful vehicles. That being said, these display vehicles, do not try to get in them. These are locked to the floor, they cannot be stolen, and they may cause you to bug out a little bit if you try to steal them. So here we've got some different categories: fast vehicles, bigger toys, donks. We're just going to head over here to all vehicles. Press E to actually open the vehicle shop. And you'll have your subcategories: compacts, coupes, muscle, sedans, sports, super, SUVs, vans, donks, luxury, trucks, and sports classics. So let's say we want that beautiful Nissan Skyline right there. So we'll click on coupes and we'll kind of cycle through this. This will show you the number of vehicles that are in stock as well as the price of the vehicle. Most of the vehicles will say no name has been found. However, once you actually purchase the vehicle, it will tell you what the full name is of that vehicle. But right now we're looking for that R34. That's really what I want, is that Skyline. So let's keep scrolling over. Ooh, R32, beautiful car as well, but it just doesn't have the same zing that 34 has. So let's keep scrolling on over, looking through all these beautiful cars until we get to the cream of the crop. Which it was out of stock? Are you serious? Oh my god, I'm going to have to talk to this douche that owns this dealership so that he can put some of these R34s back in stock. But, you know what? Let's grab that R32. Can't go wrong with the RB28, right? So you hit enter. That will bring up, do you like to buy the vehicle? You can also test drive the vehicle. However, that does cost money. I believe it's $1,000 to test drive the vehicle. So in this case, we do want to buy it. Let's click yes. You have the option to pay with cash or bank. I'm going to pay with cash. Get some of that cash out of my pocket. Now you're going to notice when the vehicle first spawns in, it is slightly transparent. The only reason for that is if two people buy a vehicle at the same time, they won't explode. As you can see, the vehicle is already coming into the way that it should be, which is fantastic. Oh, good job, Darth. This vehicle is right-hand drive. You got onto the wrong side of the car. No worries, we'll go onto the correct side of the car. Alright, so we just got our first car in FiveM. What are we going to do? We're going to go street racing? We're going to go cause some chaos? No, absolutely not. What we're going to do is open up our map. We're going to go down here to postal 140 to this C icon. This is going to be where we register the car and get insurance on the car. What a great drive. Alright, let's quick bust a U-turn. I didn't mean to put my hands up there. We're going to pull into this driveway, head towards the C icon. You'll see 3 gentlemen standing in a line right here. What we're going to do is pull as close to these guys as we can. And we're going to have to third eye. Third eye will be something you hear referenced a lot in FiveM. What that means is to hold your Alt key to the left of your spacebar. Your left Alt key. We'll hold that. This eyeball pops up. You'll notice on some things the eyeball turns blue while we're holding left out. When you see that it turns blue, right click on your mouse, and in this case we're going to click on car registration. Confirm, registering the vehicle, and we're going to see a pop-up on the bottom right that it just added a car registration to our inventory. And now we're going to do the same thing but with car insurance. We have 3 options, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. This is real life days. So let's just get the 90 days, let this insurance last as long as possible. It'll test the vehicle, you'll get an email, and it'll give you a notification that your documents are printing. Once you see that it got added in your inventory, which as you can see it just did, you're good to go. Hit tab to open your inventory. And we've got our player inventory and our glove box. So we're going to right click on these to move them into our glove box. That way, if we do get pulled over, you've got them quickly accessible. Now, if an officer does ask to see your registration, insurance, and driver's license, what we simply do is just double click on them. That'll close your inventory, and what it does is it pops up in the screen of the law enforcement officer what that information is. You don't have to physically hand it to them, just simply click on them like I just did. Now, we will move on to the next portion of our video, which is basic traffic laws. Now, we're only going to go over traffic lights and speed limits right now, because a lot of the other stuff is pretty common in the real world. So, we're approaching this light, we see that it's red. In the real world, we stop until it turns green. In Lone Star State RP, every red light is treated as a stop sign. So all we would have to do is approach the stop line. We would look both ways to make sure the way is clear, and we can go through. Speed limit in city is 50 miles per hour. In the county, in the country, the roads where Trevor lives, speed limit is 70. And on the highways, the speed limit is 90. That being said, you can speed. Just know we do have law enforcement officers that are waiting for speeders to pull you over and give you a ticket, possibly impound your car. So you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? To me, it's not. I'm just going to stop and go the speed limit. Give or take a few miles per hour, Who's paying that close of attention, right? Alright, the next thing we're going to go over is valet and parking. So, to valet our car, because we don't currently have it, we're going to hit M to pull up our phone. We're going to go to the valet app, and you can see we've got a 1994 Nissan Skyline GTR. We'll click on that, click on bring, and as you can see on the map here on the bottom left, our car has now popped up on the screen. And our very good valet driver at some point here is going to bring the car to us. Hopefully without running me over, because they do drive pretty dangerously. Thank you, sir. Alright, now let's say you want to log off for the night, and you just don't want your car to get stolen. What we're going to do is we're going to pull up the map and we're going to look for these blue garage symbols. These are all over the place. These are public parking. So we can actually drive our car to these locations, which we've got one right up here, thankfully. Don't speed, Darth, don't speed. Cops might be watching. Alright, let's head into this parking lot right here. Now, sometimes these things don't like to open. You will never get in trouble for running those over. Don't worry about that. But we're going to go to this white arrow that's on the ground. When you park over it, it'll say E to store vehicle, pillbox parking garage. So we'll press E, and the vehicle disappeared. Whoa! Now, there's two ways you can get the car back. First way is by going through your valet app, like I just showed you. Second way is if you spawn in the same area, you'll see these red arrows. So these red arrows are to withdraw your car. This one is in kind of a silly spot, but we actually didn't set that. So hit E, available vehicles, and there's our GTR. Boom, we are ready to go. Alright, so now if you look on the top right, you can see we've got $52,900 in cash. We don't want that much cash. The more cash you have on you, get out of the road! Even though that was my fault. The more cash you have on you, the better chance you have that a criminal will find out that you have cash on you. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our map, and we're going to look for these dollar symbols. These are banks. Kind of self-explanatory. Oh, wow! There's one right across the street. So let's head over to the bank. Now remember, look both ways before you cross the street. Don't want to get hit by a speeding Lamborghini or anything. So let's run into the bank. First thing we're going to want to do is you see these green Fleeca Bank rectangles. You're going to use your third eye again, which is left alt. Right click, Access Bank. We're going to go down to Account Options, and we're going to order a debit card. We can set a PIN number, which, we'll just do 1, 2, 3, 4. This character's getting deleted anyway. And let's deposit some of this money because we don't need that much. So we've got $52,900 in cash. Let's deposit $50,000 of that. Complete deposit. Bada bang, bada boom. Now throughout the city, you'll also find ATMs. To use an ATM, again, you'll third eye, which is left alt, followed by right click, use ATM. Select your card, enter your PIN number, hit accept, and you can make small withdrawals. I believe it's $5,000 per day from an ATM. However, a lot of the ATMs are at actual bank branches, so if you need to deposit and or withdraw more, just head here. Alright, next thing we're going to go over is your graphic settings. So we're going to hit escape, go to settings, graphics. Now there's a few things that are very important here. And I'll kind of go through my graphics so you can see how I have mine set up. I have mine set up to optimize my frame rates. That being said, I do have a 3080 Ti, so I do have a lot of VRAM available. This bar is very important. We do not want this to hit the yellow, and definitely do not want it to hit the red. But to go over a few important things, population density. This is how many NPCs, or as we refer to them in city, locals, will appear on the map at any given time. I believe it defaults to 50% here. That's a pretty good spot. Now, if you are having issues with things loading, feel free to turn that on down though. But in my case, I'm going to leave it here. Population variety. The amount of different NPCs that will spawn in on the map at any given time. This does not really affect your frame rate based off of anything more than your population density. Distance scaling, how far you're able to see at any given time. I like to have that up. However, if you don't have a very powerful PC and you're experiencing problems, feel free to turn that down. This one here is very, very important. The extended texture budget. We want this to be as high as possible, because what happens is the lower this is, the less high texture things you will see in the city. Most of what we have in the city is custom texture, so if you're having issues seeing things, make sure you come in here and you turn this up as high as you can. Texture quality, I keep at normal because you really don't see a huge difference between normal, high, and very high. So I keep mine at normal. I'll go through until we hit the next important one, but if you want to copy my settings, definitely feel free. Post FX. This is going to be the lighting in the city. I do recommend to have this at least at high. This makes the police lights much easier to see, as well as just makes the lighting in the city a lot more vivid. So I do recommend to have this on high. Motion blur doesn't really matter. I don't know anyone that actually plays with motion blur. If you do, you're probably a psycho, but I like to keep mine all the way down. But those are all of the important settings. Now feel free to rewind as needed to see what my settings are. If you want to have yours exactly the same way that mine are, definitely feel free. But I feel that these settings right here are the most optimized for my rig. You know, based off of my VRAM, I could definitely turn other things up, but I want the highest frame rate possible, so I like to keep it right where it is here. Man, all this driving sure has made my car hungry. Might as well head to a gas station. All of these are going to be marked on the map with a blip that looks like a jerry can. So for this, we're just going to pull up to the pump. Doesn't matter which side of the car you actually see the tank on. As you can see, it's on this side. But just pull up here, walk to this side, and it'll say press E to refuel vehicle. So we'll press E. It'll show the percentage of fuel as well as the total cost. Now, if you get closer, you'll see it says press E to purchase jerry can. So let's grab one of those. We press tab to open our inventory, double tap on that jerry can. So if you run out of gas driving through the city, you have the option to use a jerry can. As you can see right now, the tank is full, so we don't need to use it. But if we walk over to the trunk here, hit tab, right click on that, now we've got an emergency jerry can in the trunk. That way, if we're, driving out in the mountains and we run out of gas, can't make it to a gas station, boom, you've got a jerry can. I do recommend everyone keep a jerry can on you just because you never know when you're going to not be paying attention and run out of gas. Alright, now that we've spent so much money, how do you make money? To answer that question is a little complicated. There are a lot of different ways to make money in the city. You can go mining, you can manufacture drugs, you can apply to be a law enforcement officer, you can apply to be a mechanic, you can buy a corner store, a gas station, a burger joint. There's a lot of different things you can do. But to get started, you're just going to want to head here to City Hall, which is located at Postal 506. This is actually more than likely where you spawned originally. And we're going to run up to this gentleman in the suit. Not sure why that guy is floating, but we don't need to talk to him anyway. We're going to talk to this guy. And if you remember, what do? We third eye, which is left alt, followed by right click, and we click on Work Center. That'll bring up all the different jobs that you can do within the city that don't require you to do an application or break the law. So you can do any of this stuff here. You just select the job, and then hit select, and what will happen is it'll put a ping on your map of where to go. I'm not going to go through each of these jobs. You can kind of experiment with each of them on their own, but now you know how to get a job. Now let's say some weird criminal is like, hey, stop, give me all your money, and he also takes your driver's license. That's when you'd come up to this floating gentleman here, right click, open City Hall, identity, and you can buy a new driver's license and ID card for $75. If you are issued a weapons license, which you simply do that by communicating to a law enforcement officer that you want a weapons license, you would also purchase that from the same guy here. Now you might be wondering, how am I pointing? Oh, that's easy. Just hit B on your keyboard to point. Push X on your keyboard to put your hands up. And last but not least, oh no. How did I fall? Oh, that's because I press U on the keyboard, which is for the ragdoll. You'd be surprised how many people accidentally ragdoll and have no idea that they clicked U. So if you ever notice yourself just randomly fall to the ground, More than likely you accidentally clicked U, which is the ragdoll effect. Comes in handy in a lot of different RP scenes, so there is a purpose for it. That being said, we're going to go back to something I talked about really early in the video and show you how to get a fade on this ugly bald head right here. Alright, so to do this, you'll want to go to one of the many tattoo shops available within the city. These tattoo shops are marked on the map with this beautiful heart-shaped icon. We also have clothing stores, which if you ever want to change your clothing, definitely head to one of those. And barber shops if you ever decide you want to change your hairstyle. But in this case, I'm going to show you how to get a fade put on this ugly bald head. So we'll head into the barber shop. We'll click E to open the tattoo menu. We'll go to head. Like, no, I want a fade. I don't want a skull on my face. Well, if you scroll down, you'll see a bunch of different options here for fades. And that is already, I mean, even with that short hair, that's already looking so much better. So this will be how you get a lot of different available fades for your hair. They're not the greatest in quality, however, it looks a lot better than bald head. So in this case, I'm just going to select fade 29, which, I'll click buy tattoo here. Boom. We'll hit escape, escape. And now I actually have a fade on my head instead of just baldness, Mr. Clean style. Alright, that being said though, I think that's going to wrap up this video. If you do have any more questions about things to do in the city, feel free to ask around the city within RP, so you want to roleplay it out. Or, ask somebody in our Discord. You can post a message on Twitter. There's going to be stuff you learn about this city every single day. But it is up to you. Okay, come on. It won't work. But it's up, pretend you're right there. It's up to you to figure that part out. That being said, thank you for coming in. Invite your friends. This is Darth, signing out.